Hey traders, Spartan here from SpartanTrading.com, and I have a special video for today. We're joined by the CEO of Dynamite Blockchain Corp, and I wanted to go over a few things. Now, if you guys saw that I did do my recent thesis on Dynamite Blockchain, we did a little bit of an update. We saw a fantastic PR that came out on the 24th of December, and I want to talk about what's been going on with the company. Now, from a technical standpoint, as we can see, it's been coming off the lows. We've seen the crypto market, pushing back. The relative volume is up quite a bit on the stock, and we can see that it's being accumulated and it's getting ready for a breakout to the upside from a technical standpoint. So Akshay, welcome to the chat, and I wanted to ask you a few questions.
Thanks for having me, Chris.
So I want to start off with Dynamite Blockchain delivering a record Q3 2025 results, including net income of 14.47 million, and assets reaching 30.96 million. Can you walk us through what drove this explosive growth and how it positions the company for even bigger wins in 2026?
Yeah, no, great question, Chris. We're extremely pleased with the record-breaking back-to-back quarters with record high assets, income, and a 15-fold growth compared to Q1 2025. However, more than anything else, these results are a real vindication for the strategy that we've been developing and refining for a long time. We were very disciplined in our token selection process, our due diligence, and despite limited resources early on, we've stayed true to that framework. We focus on acquiring large-scale, early-stage, high-utility-backed tokens that have real roadmaps, real teams, and clear paths to execution. That discipline has allowed us to build highly accretive positions before the broader market recognized their value. Our critical part is identifying tokens with clearly defined milestones that we believe will act as catalysts for value creation. What's most exciting, Chris, is that none of our current holdings have even reached their first major milestones. So while we've already seen exponential growth, we truly believe that we've really only scratched the surface. Now, as these projects begin to execute their roadmaps, and as we integrate them directly into our broader blockchain ecosystem, we believe that sets the stage for an even greater upside and positions us extremely well for 2026.
So even though the tokens you have started to acquire have seen exponential returns, you feel the best is yet to come. So for the tokens like MOT, Cassia, what upcoming milestones like integrations or launches should investors watch that could essentially skyrocket their utility and value?
Yeah, no, absolutely. We're very excited for what's to come and what's ahead. With Cassia, we're anticipating two major milestones in the company's first quarter. The first is listing on a digital asset exchange, and the second is the upcoming launch of its mobile application. We believe both will materially expand user adoption and accessibility, particularly as Caspa, since Cassia is built on Caspa, continues to deliver meaningful technological advancements at the protocol level. Now, in parallel, MOT is preparing to roll out trivia-based tournaments worldwide, which we will see as a powerful driver of not only engagement, monetization, but real in-app utility. As these milestones come online, we believe both platforms are well positioned to meaningfully enhance their utility and value, creating compelling upside for Dynamite and its shareholders.
Dynamite is building a gateway for public markets into high upside utility tokens. With crypto poised for a rebound, how does your strategy of investing in novel assets like Cassia and MOT offer superior returns compared to established coins?
That's a great question, Chris. We have a lot of respect for companies like MicroStrategy. They were the pioneers of the digital asset treasury model, and they really helped pave the way for the broader institutional and regulatory acceptance of crypto. But like any successful strategy, that model has matured and frankly become easy to replicate. Most treasury plays today are simply buy and hold strategies that are focused on established coins, and sometimes with leverage. While that can work, the upside actually is very limited, and the strategy is not very differentiated. We believe Dynamite represents the next evolution of the digital asset treasury model. We give public market investors exposure to sizable early stage positions in high utility tokens they otherwise couldn't access. Assets that are backed by real products, real teams, and clear paths to value creation. What truly sets us apart is that we don't just hold these tokens, we actively integrate them into our proprietary blockchain ecosystem, engineering additional utility and demand into the assets themselves. That combination of early stage or early access, active value creation is what we actually believe positions us to generate significant value, particularly as the crypto market enters its next growth cycle.
So, I mean, it's pretty impressive to hear that, and obviously very exciting from an investor standpoint. You know, you're right, and it appears that the evolution of DAT strategy, which of course is one of the reasons we're interested in Dynamite. Can you please tell us more about this blockchain ecosystem that you're referring to? There are three pillars, right? The holding, the products, the services. Let's kind of talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's exactly right, Chris. So there's the blockchain ecosystem is the foundation of everything that Dynamite is building. As we speak, it's structured around the three pillars you just spoke about: the holdings, products, and services. Our holdings are actually the most important pillar because they are the primary driver of our asset growth. We spend a tremendous amount of time in selecting, in the due diligence and negotiating large accretive early stage positions within the tokens. And by acquiring these assets, we're just really getting started. Where the strategy becomes really powerful is how we integrate these holdings into our products and services. By embedding our tokens directly into what we're building, we're able to drive value on both sides. Our products and services gain user base, and while our holdings, they're gaining real measurable utility. Now, this also creates a self-reinforcing flywheel. As the products and services gain adoption and then they generate revenue, they're increasing exposure and then demand for our holdings. The added utility, market awareness, both of those two things combined, they drive token value, which in turn strengthens our balance sheet and allows us to reinvest back into the ecosystem. This exact compounding cycle is what we truly believe sets Dynamite apart.
Which, this is awesome in the sense that it's not been done before. Obviously, you can see the value creation here, guys. And, I have a question for you, and without giving any inside information, can you tell me about some of these products and services? And I understand some of them haven't all been released, but I do know that there's a Dynamite wallet in development, and you've mentioned that Dynamite card as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we have several products and services in development with, as you mentioned, the most advanced being the Dynamite wallet. Now, I'll take a step back here. One of the biggest barriers to mainstream crypto adoption is complexity. Managing keys, seed phrases, the entire security aspect of things is really a bit intimidating for the average person. Our goal here with the Dynamite wallet is to make it very easy and seamless for the average consumer to interact with crypto assets while maintaining a very high level of security and privacy. Over the last year or so, we've acquired technology that allows us to develop and build out a Dynamite branded crypto wallet asset that uses biometric authentication natively in your phone. So users are able to transact with their assets by simply using their face without having to manage complicated recovery phrases or passwords. Just as importantly, the wallet is designed as the hub of our ecosystem. It'll integrate seamlessly with all the other products that we launch, including the Dynamite card, allowing users to buy, sell, and interact, with digital assets in a way that feels intuitive and, frankly, safe. Over time, the very exciting part here, Chris, is that it is integrating our broader blockchain ecosystem into that wallet experience. This is how we're going to turn our products into real utility drivers that, for the assets that we're holding.
Without getting ahead of myself, the market does appear to be waking up to Dynamite's strategy, especially with the recent stock gains in the last month of 50%. This month we're up around 66. What under the radar triggers for or partnerships are there in the pipeline that could make 2026 a breakout year for shareholders?
Yeah, Chris, 100%. And this is a really good question. The simple answer is that almost everything we've spoken about is really under the radar. Like, frankly, this is my first interview since championing a company, several years ago.
Yeah.
While we've spent a long time building confidence in our strategy, focusing on disciplined acquisitions and executing on our ecosystem, because the market, it truly rewards results and not effort. And so now with back-to-back strong quarters, record asset growth, our stock up, over 50% month over month, the market is starting to take notice. But, even today, our shares are still, they're trading at below net asset value of our holdings. And much of what we've been doing hasn't really been fully appreciated. This is why we're starting to actively share our story, highlighting the blockchain ecosystem, the flywheel of the value creation, and the unique potential of our holdings integrated into our products and services. Once shareholders and the broader market fully digest that, we believe that it's going to be a very meaningful catalyst for a breakout year in 2026.
Oh, fantastic. And, happy to hear that and excited to see what we have in store for us. So I see that the company launched a new website last quarter, and clearly, you guys are starting to market the awareness efforts, like, interviews, etc. Can you tell me and tell the viewers what's your bold vision for Dynamite Blockchain in the next 12 to 18 months as the macro conditions are starting to improve and the retail investors in crypto surge again? Why would they want to invest in Dynamite? What makes it a must watch for investors right now?
Yeah, Chris. So look, as the crypto market momentum returns, investors are naturally looking for where the next wave of upside is going to be coming from. And we genuinely believe that Dynamite sits at that very unique position in the market. What gives us confidence in our strategy is that it's already proven. The last 2 quarters delivered record asset growth, strong financial results, and the healthiest balance sheet that we've ever had as a company. That tells investors that this is not just a concept. It is a strategy that's working. But what's most exciting is that while we're still very early, none of our holdings have actually reached their first major milestones. And we're just beginning to integrate those assets into our broader blockchain ecosystem. So, each of those milestones and integrations, is designed to keep the catalyst and keep driving real utility, revenue, and value both back into our products and the assets that we hold. And that's what really truly sets Dynamite apart. We're not just buying these assets and holding them. We give public market investors early access to high utility tokens they typically couldn't reach otherwise. And then we actively create value by embedding them into real products and services. That flywheel of creation and execution, utility, and compounding growth is why we believe Dynamite is a must watch right now, and why the next 12 to 18 months could be setting the stage up for explosive growth for Dynamite and all of our shareholders.
Well, thank you for taking the time, Akshay, for joining us. And again, guys, if you want to learn more information about Dynamite Blockchain Corp, we do have our thesis out on the Spartan Trading website. You can check it out there. It'll be a link in the description in the bio of this video. And stay tuned for more, guys. Join the newsletter. We're going to be updating this thesis as we see changes within the corp. Thanks again, Akshay, and have a great one. We'll look forward to speaking with you again.
Thanks.
Cheers, buddy.
Bye-bye.